Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that, but you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go!
And welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The only podcast that reviews movies that are Academy awarded, but critically fouled. That's Simone LaRue.
And that's Chad Erkowitz. What a beautiful introduction.
Right? I mean, look at us. The introduction reflects how incredible we look right now.
Honestly.
If you are
truly.
not watching the YouTube videos of
Guys.
our recordings, you are missing out. You are physically missing out now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We are all
yeah.
dressed up for Oscar night.
Exactly. So talk me through. All right, here we go. We're big famous actors. Somehow we got invitations to the Oscars. They've arrived in the mail. Cool. Oscars are tonight. We fast forward. Oscars are tonight. What is your prep? All right. Doors open. Red carpets at about 7:30.
Yeah.
So what is the day for you?
So I know that this perpetuates like harmful stereotypes and stuff, but like for my own peace of mind and my own insecurity, I would probably have been on a juice cleanse for like 2 weeks leading up to it. That's a lie. I
No.
because I'd be a moody bitch.
Oh my God. I could oh no. It would be like Godzilla walking down the red carpet.
Yeah.
Just no.
But
no.
I'd still like, I'd wake up, I'd like make sure to get like a really good workout in, you know?
Definitely.
I've gotten my dress. I feel like I'd want to support like a local South African designer. You know?
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get them on the map a little.
Yeah. And I want to eat small meals consistently through the day, like not have a big meal and then like feel sluggish because, you know, it's prep time. Like I got to keep my energy up.
You've got so much clapping to do tonight.
I've got so much clapping to do, so much posing. Oh, that's what I do. I meet with my posing coach.
Nice.
Which is a thing you can hire because I'm so bad at posing for pictures. I phone the venue to double check that they have a vegetarian meal for me just because like
Beautiful.
I really hate it when I pitch up to a place and they're like
Yeah,
so,
no, I get you. To be fair, being the Oscars and who their clientele is, you're definitely going to have vegetarian without a question.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I like to check.
But like to check. Be conscientious.
like you are the neediest person in Hollywood. And yeah, then it's just like full hair and makeup. I envision that taking quite a while. And then like maybe we do a pre-party, like you, me, our cool famous friends. We do like a fun little pre-party, get a little bit buzzed on very expensive champagne, have some light snacks. So again, I'm not very moody when I have to pose. And yeah, just hit the red carpet hot.
I like it. I like your plan. That's
what about
stunning. Yeah. Right. Okay. So it depends, right? So if I'm going as an actor, I've been nominated for something. Okay. Probably not lead, not best actor, but maybe probably best supporting actor. I'm definitely a character actor. I'm not a main guy, which I'm fine with. That's
You're
my
bad.
I'm handsome, yes, but I'm also comedic. And you know, I come
guy.
I'm the funny guy, and on film I do often come across very gay. And as Hollywood has shown us, gay doesn't play lead very well.
Oh, funny.
You know, there's no it's changing, but so it's probably, you know, supported. So if I'm going up for like supporting best supporting actor, the day starts with me getting up. I'll probably, you know, I'm gonna need some calming meds. You know, just to relax me. You know, I'm gonna be really anxious about this. Make sure my acceptance speech is all ready, if I can, just in case I win it. You know, I've timed it out. I don't like it when speeches go too long, so I've made sure that I'm gonna get, you know, I'm not gonna get cut off. Yeah, perfect. So that's ready to go in my suit pocket. Perfect. Steam my suit again. Just make sure it's 100% right. You know, crisp. Then probably have like a nice, you know, breakfast. I want a hearty meal for breakfast. I know what you're saying.
You need
sort of
that
about
energy.
lots of little light meals. So big hearty breakfast, work out at the gym, maybe go for a nice long run.
Yeah, just like relax into it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Start strong in the day, and then we're gonna, you know, just be constant for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Then probably meet up with, you know, some friends, maybe just discussing it with people. Then have our little pre-party, get a little bit jazzed. That will relax me even more. Mixed with the meds, who knows what's going to happen that night. That's why we like Oscar scandals. Head off to the Oscars, get some little finger foods, because I'm sure it's going to be little finger foods, and get ready for it. And then, yeah, so that's if I'm an actor. If I'm going as a director, I want to be in a dark room.
Can I say, I just love like the variation in confidence between the two of us, because you're like, well, I'll be up for an award, obviously. And I'm like, oh, just be happy to be there. And you're like, yeah, I'll have some lunch and then I'll get dressed and I'll go. And I'm like, well, it's going to take a couple of hours to get me looking camera ready. So...
Well, isn't that, I mean, that's talking to the disparity between men and women. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like you'd go to the barber that day.
Yeah, I'd get like
whatever,
a decent shave.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Unless, and this is where being a director comes in. If I'm being nominated as a director,
if you're a director.
I'm gonna go in a t-shirt and jeans. I'm
Maybe
not
like
gonna
a
shave.
blazer over the t-shirt, just because your assistant was like, or your publicist or whatever was like, please.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And because if I'm a director in this situation, I'm gonna be one of those really moody directors. So I'm gonna be in a dark room for the whole day. I'm gonna write my suicide note just in case I lose, and just post it somewhere. And then I'll go to the Academy Awards. That's the plan if I'm a director.
You're very well scheduled, so I feel like you'd schedule a suicide post to run, and then like obviously if you win, you'll just cancel it on the side real quick.
Yeah. I also, what I love is the fact that you said I'm really well scheduled on the day where I was 2 hours early to the podcast.
You were early. And honestly, it's like you were reading my mind, because I was like I finished work and I was like, what the fuck do I do till we record now?
Well, it worked out for the best of us. It's one of the very rare occasions where my faux pas do work out. But yes, so that is our plan for Oscar nights. And so being Oscar themed, we are doing 2 Oscar movies that didn't do well, even though they did win Oscars. So we are doing Harry and the Hendersons, which won in 1988 for best costume design. And we are doing The Great Gatsby, which won in 2013 for best costume and
I think it was production
makeup.
design.
Oh, production design. There you go. So yes, I'm very, very excited for this. Aren't you? This is so much fun.
But Chad, do a little spin for the people. Let them see your snappy suit.
I'll do a little spin. Let me take out my thingy, my headphones.
Guys, this is why you watch YouTube. Yes, look at him.
Hell yeah. And now you got to do it too. Okay. If I've done it, you got to do it, because that dress is fabulous.
So I can't hear you. Oh, okay. Sorry. Excuse me. Let me just pull this down.
Damn. Oh, that's stunning.
That is my dress from Science Grad Ball.
It's gorgeous. I love the open back. That's so cool.
Me too. I love an open back.
It's brilliant. And I think as well, I don't know about you, but you know, with the pandemic and everything, this is probably like the first time I've dressed up in a long time.
It feels very strange.
I love it. It's great. Like let this keep going. Let the good time roll.
Everything now.
Yeah, just to Bryce in the summer, just like rock up in a full ball gown, like you're holding your heels and your dress up, and it's just like this. It has to happen.
You know.
Yeah. Well, let's see who goes first. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking
Oscar
a
evening?
super Oscar-worthy, fancy, snazzy drink. Flying Fish, premium flavored beer.
Flavored beer.
Yeah, it's got like a lemon infusion.
That actually sounds really nice.
It's delightful. It's a great beverage for a summer's day.
That's perfect. Oh, wonderful. Yes. I'm surprised you're not drinking it with a straw, because you've got like a really beautiful lipstick on.
Yeah, this is a terrible thing to be drinking with like a dark lip on. But I'm doing it.
You like you've said to me always, but more in the context of wearing heels, you're not a quitter.
I'm not a quitter. No, I've got my lipstick right here, so I will just retouch as we go, and that'll be really fun for people watching.
Oh, good.
Yes, for those wondering, this is Revlon in the shade Power Move.
Oh, what a great name.
Yes.
Oh my lord, that's fantastic. And to use the code Fresh Tomatoes to get 20% off.
If only.
If only. Well,
Yes.
I am drinking. I had the choice between Jack Daniel's honey whiskey and Jack Daniel's fire whiskey, and I decided the honey whiskey because it's a nice summer's day.
Yeah.
Get a little bit sweet, a little bit,
Mm.
supporting the bees.
Mm.
So yeah, lovely.
Lovely.
So I guess that means we're doing Harry and the Hendersons first.
Great.
So ready for this.
Let's do it.
Okay. The Hendersons are just your typical 80s American family. You have the dad, George, played by John Lithgow, who is the head of the family, a proud, strong man. Then you have the mother, Nancy, played by Melinda Dillon, who is the passive and absolutely devoted one to her family. And then you have the kids, Sarah, played by Margaret Langrick, and Ernest, played by Joshua Rudoy. Sarah is the sullen teenager who is moody about everything, while Ernest, being the youngest, is super excited about explosions and hunting and just general boy stuff. So, one long weekend, the Hendersons travel up to the mountains for a little camping trip. George also agrees that he'll teach Ernest how to hunt. See, George is a big hunter. His father owns the largest gun store in town, and so George has been raised on this ideal of guns and hunting and murdering poor defenseless animals for sport. So George teaches Ernie to hunt, he catches a rabbit, and now it's time to go home. On their way home, George is traveling quite fast through the hills when suddenly he gets distracted by a deer crossing the road. Next thing he knows, he hits something, but he doesn't know what. At first, he thinks it's a person, but on closer inspection, they see that it's too hairy to be a human. When George goes to investigate, he realizes that, beyond all belief, this is the mythical Sasquatch. Say that 5 times fast. This is the mythical This is the mythical This is the mythical Sasquatch, or Bigfoot. Unfortunately, it looks dead, but George realizes that there's a serious monetary opportunity to be made here from selling the carcass of the first ever irrefutable proof that Bigfoot exists. So, with the help of his family, he straps the Bigfoot to the roof of his car. They get home and place the car and Bigfoot in the garage where no one can see. Later that night, George is so excited by his discovery that he goes to the garage to check it out, but the Bigfoot is not there. He panics and goes back to the house to see that the Bigfoot was not actually dead and has now completely trashed his kitchen. George thinks he's about to die at the hands of this massive, terrifying beast, when suddenly, and with the help of Sarah and the rest of his family, he realizes that the Bigfoot is actually pretty harmless and is in fact a vegetarian. The Bigfoot proceeds to tear around the Hendersons' house, destroying things and making such a mess. George goes to shoot it, but realizes that he can't kill such a peaceful, harmless beast. Over time, the Bigfoot destroys more and more of their house, but the Hendersons start to love him, even naming him Harry, who is played by Kevin Peter Hall. George goes into town to try and get some more information about the Bigfoot and discovers a doctor named Dr. Wallace Wrightwood, played by Don Amici. George and the doctor discuss whether it would be feasible for George to keep Harry, but the doctor severely advises against it. So the Hendersons decide to drive Harry back up to the mountains where no one can hurt him and he can live in peace. Unfortunately, the plan goes horribly wrong and Harry runs away. Over the next couple of days, George tries desperately to find him, but to no avail. However, he gets closer and closer to finding him because of rare and odd sightings of the Bigfoot throughout town by other civilians. Unfortunately, these sightings also are also brought to the attention of one Jacques Lafleur, who is a mythical beast hunter who has made it his life's mission to hunt down and kill the dreaded Bigfoot. Eventually, George is able to find Harry again, but Lafleur is right on their tail. The Hendersons, with the help of Dr. Wrightwood, are able to get Harry back into the mountains, but Lafleur is so close behind, they need to come up with a diversion to get Harry enough time to give Harry enough time to get away. They are able to do so, but Lafleur mistakes George for the Bigfoot and is about to shoot him when Harry comes down from his hiding spot in the tree, pounces on Lafleur, and stops him. George is about to beat the crap out of Lafleur, but Harry stops him. In that moment, Lafleur realizes the error of his ways and devotes his life to finding, but not hurting, mythical creatures. Harry goes back to live in the mountains with his Bigfoot family, and the Hendersons return home to live in peace. The end.
The end. Chad, what is your cliffhanger?
So it has to be this one. And it's the scene where, like, sort of right at the end, I think it's when George Henderson is beating on Lafleur, and he's just like, can't you tell he's peaceful? Can't you tell he's human? We were wrong. And what I don't like about the scene, and it's like the specific dialogue, basically George distinguishes killing something that is human-like to killing animals.
Yeah.
So even throughout this movie, he is completely fine with killing killing animals. Like he hasn't learned a lesson. It's just because Bigfoot is more human that he's like, nah, we shouldn't kill it.
You know what? That was actually going to be my scene that I could have saved.
No ways.
you know, because they do this whole setup where they're like, oh, he's a vegetarian, which like I know in the 80s was like kind of
Yeah.
hippie nonsense.
Mm.
But you know, and to make Harry happy, they like bury all of his hunting trophies, which is kind of like, you know, too little too late, but cool. But like there's no real point where he's like, oh, like animals are sentient and deserve a chance at life, and like by killing them, like I like what, who am I? I'm not like totally against hunting. I do understand like its ecological purposes. I'm not against meat eating either. It's just like not really for me.
Your
But it's
bag.
like if
Yeah.
that's a it just felt like a very half-assed character arc where he was
Absolutely.
like, some things we shouldn't kill, and it was like, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a really specific niche to lean into, where they could have made like a much bigger point of this. And I mean, you know, like it's not such a radical idea to just be like, okay, well now we're all vegetarians. Like vegetarian is the thing. It's not
Look,
like this
in the
newfound
80s,
thing in the 80s.
that was
It's pretty
communist
radical.
bullshit.
Yeah, that is, you have a good point. But yeah, like it would have just been nice if they had learned a bigger lesson from Harry, because it seems like, you know, what Harry was trying to teach them about sort of like respecting all living things versus what they took away from Harry's sort of visit is a completely disjuncted thing. And it leaves you like, okay, cool, so they saved a creature, and now what? They're just gonna go home and just like chow on a big thing of meat. Like,
yeah, for sure. They're all
what's
gonna
gonna
get
happen?
burgers or whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, it like that kind of, you know, didn't spoil the movie necessarily, but it just like gave it the ick.
Yeah, it definitely like makes it much less satisfying, the conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. But what did you enjoy about this movie? Because this is your first time watching it, right?
It sure was. I enjoyed I always enjoyed John Lithgow. I think he is just such a treasure. And obviously, like, this is the youngest role I think I've ever seen him in, right? Like,
Definitely.
usually all the movies I've seen him in are post Harry and the Hendersons. So he's much older, but it's cool to see him a bit younger. It's cool to see, like, I feel like nowadays, especially after he was in Dexter, he tends to play like slightly more like sinister roles, or like even just like more wise roles. And it's cool to see him as like sort of this goofy dad who is trying to navigate stuff. I really liked the wife in this, and I liked that he listened to his wife to one extent or another, you know, like she always chose the gentler option. She was always like, oh, but like, look, he hasn't done anything and all this stuff. And from what I could see, I stand to be corrected though, he doesn't like ridicule her for it. Like, he looks at her like she's crazy, but he's not like, don't be ridiculous or whatever.
Yeah,
like he's very much like, maybe.
Yeah, he doesn't understand it fully, but he understands that his wife, you know, has a good perspective. Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool, especially for like this is peak time of like, oh, the old ball and chain, my wife.
Absolutely.
I thought that was cool. I thought the little boy was very cute. At the beginning, after he's killed the rabbit, and he's like so stoked about it, and the like sister's like, you're a butcher, and he's like, it was him or me. Very
that
cute.
was so cute. That was so cute. I love that they put like giant glasses on him just to make him like
Chad,
the nerdiest kid.
Say, like, I don't want kids, but if I did have a child, I would only love it if it had the biggest glasses. Like, kids with glasses just like make my ovaries work overtime.
It is hella cute. I mean, this is going to be like a really, really fucking specific callback, but there was a KFC ad in South Africa years ago with a kid who had massive glasses on, like turning on and off the light. And he had these massive, like thick glasses and things. And he was just the most adorable child ever.
You know,
and
for me, it was Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah.
You know, it flashbacks when they're all kids. Luke as a kid with his adorable little twin sister as well. I was like
Stop
again,
it.
I don't want
You
kids,
can't.
but if I had kids, I want them to look exactly like these fucking kids because they're so fucking cute. And he's
Yeah,
so
even if they,
sensitive.
like-
He's just little drawings. Like, this is why I can't be a parent, because I just want a child that would clearly get bullied relentlessly.
Yeah, you're gonna like be you would be one of those parents who like dresses up in little costumes and stuff and like the
I don't know
giant
about do
glasses. You
costumes,
want him
but
to have like asthma.
I want a very sensitive child.
Oh God. Okay. Well, I mean, you know what? For the
Anyway.
aesthetic, I hope you get one of those children. But for your reality, I hope you don't.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's best for everyone if I don't.
Oh man. But yeah, like it's a weird movie, but it's also just really fun. Like you've got some really fun characters in this. You know, like you say, I think the mystery of John Lithgow is the fact that like he hasn't aged in 1,000 years.
Great.
He's fantastic. I don't think there's any difference between him in Harry and the Hendersons and him now. Like nothing whatsoever.
Who is his
He does not
doctor?
age.
I must know.
What baby's blood is he drinking every day? But then you had the nosy neighbor as well, who we've she's a friend of the podcast whose name I can never remember. She's been in a whole bunch of movies that we've done. She's fantastic. Love her to pieces. Even LaFleur as a baddie, you know, having a French baddie who's just like kind of crazy is just fun, and it was just like a romp.
I didn't love that the one ethnic character in the whole movie was the bad guy.
Right. Okay.
Like,
well, I mean, this is the 80s, 88, so it's like the height of nationalism as well.
Still,
yeah.
Like, I understand, like, he's French. Like, sure, French people can be villains. That's like really not the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm sure the French can handle it. But like, the actor is not white.
Is he not? Would we not call him white?
Okay, God, now I'm just sounding like super racist.
We'll cut it out if we need to. I'll give you his name.
Okay.
LaFleur. Right word. Oh, I didn't include his name. How rude of me.
What is his name?
Oh, I didn't include it, like a dummy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were on IMDb, so I was like,
no,
waiting.
I'll go on IMDb now. Give me 1 second. Harry and... Oh,
just,
good.
he
Harry
didn't
Potter.
look super white, and I was like, well, he's the least white-looking character in any case.
I get you. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. LaFleur. David Suchet. No, he's a white dude.
Oh, okay.
He just had a really good tan in this one.
Okay, never mind. I take that all back.
Well, I get what you're saying.
I shouldn't have assumed,
I'll edit it.
But yeah.
I'll edit it.
He was the most dark-skinned person.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I get where you're coming from with this. I do get where you're coming from with this.
I mean, we can leave it in. I feel okay.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I still don't love that they made the most dark-skinned person the bad guy.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the height of them doing that and that kind of thing. I mean, obviously, like, we're not going to go into the whole racism of everything. I mean, it works on Oscar's So White Night. But, you know, like, if you look at, like, Alien as well, which is the most, like, horrific story about what they did. So the guy, for our listeners who don't know this, but the guy who was the xenomorph was an African-American man. And essentially the director to, you know, keep the mystery and the sort of isolation
isolated, actually.
Yeah, to keep the... Oh, was it for the isolation? To keep the xenomorph like isolated, he kept the actor away from all the other actors.
No one was allowed to talk to him.
No, and that's really shitty. You know, I'm all for like method acting to a point, but that's just really fucked up.
Look, if we do a series on shitty directors that got unfortunately good results, we'll be here all day.
I mean, like Stanley Kubrick is just like flashing in my mind. Like he's just like this omniscient presence.
He's literally over my shoulder. Hello, Stanley.
Yeah, and like, what else? Like, is there anything that you didn't particularly enjoy? Obviously, we spoke about the fact that George doesn't grow at all. But is there anything else?
You know, I think that this is like a very old school structure for movies where you have these like super long extended scenes that don't actually have to be as long as they are, and then these like quick montages where like time passes or whatever. So it really is just a series of like kind of I know all movies are a series of interconnected scenes, thank you so much, but but you know what I mean? Like there's no real sense of
Yes.
movement actually. Like it's like stop, have this scene, go go
Yes.
go go go,
Move.
have this
Yeah.
scene, go 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 go, have this scene.
Yeah. The
Which I
Charlie's Angels
found
effect.
which I found very difficult to follow with my millennial
Mhm.
brain. Um I don't think it's
Yeah.
necessarily a bad thing. That was just something that I noticed. I am very weirded out by the makeup used on Harry. He's an
Oh, really?
objectively terrifying looking creature.
What
Like
do you think it was just like sort of the wrinkles, or do you think it's like the sunken in eyes, or do
it
you
was
think
like
it's
a
just like the
weird
overall
uncanny
effect?
valley vibe.
Right.
I mean, I get he wasn't supposed to look like super hot or anything. So it wasn't like like it's not a huge critique. I understand they won an Oscar for makeup and
Mhm.
the practical effects were incredible.
Mhm.
But I just found the character design slightly unnerving, especially like with all the
Mhm.
weird noises he makes. They're very upsetting,
Yeah.
especially when he
Yeah,
does a
that
very human laugh watching
I
TV.
was literally about to say that laugh is very creepy. It sounds like it's coming from somewhere else. It sounds like it's coming from hell.
I
Like it
thought it was
doesn't make
coming from the
sense.
TV at first, but it was coming from
Yeah.
Harry.
It was really creepy. It's very, very creepy, that scene. Yeah, didn't enjoy that bit whatsoever. It's really, really uncomfortable. But yeah, like that's actually a really good point that you make about sort of the sort of scene length. I mean, on average, you know, from like the beginning of cinema and going forward, scenes have actually become, you know, markedly a lot shorter.
Yeah.
Even cuts have become
Totally.
shorter. So you know, maybe it's just something that we're used to, and when we go and we watch these old movies again, our brains are just so not used to it
Yeah.
that you're just like, oh, this is quite exhausting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem. I think, you
No,
know, you know, I think
I think it's
our
an us problem.
even if I don't even think it's an us problem, I think it's just a call of the times, and the fact
Yeah.
that we have the technology where we don't have to do a single shot for 2 minutes and then move on, because
Yeah.
you know, cameras are lighter, we can move them around, you can have
And
different effects.
I think we have to remember like cinema is also still like actually a relatively new medium
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
like history of time. And like our understanding culturally as we grow up, our understanding of like cinematic language has evolved
Mhm.
so much that like cinematographers now can use all of these visual shortcuts for us to understand what we're supposed to
Mhm.
know. Whereas, oh God, 88 was very long ago.
Oh yeah. Oh
um,
shit.
whereas like, you know, as movies grew and as cinema grew, they were still developing all these like visual
Yeah.
shortcuts and ways of communicating. So scenes were longer, and things that seem very obvious to us now
Mhm.
weren't obvious back then. It's the same
Yeah.
as like how if you watch an Alfred Hitchcock movie now, you can appreciate it, but it's not scary
No.
because it's a lot of horror shorthand that we're used to seeing.
Exactly. But yeah, and you got to view it in that guise of the fact that this is the
It was
original,
new at the
and you got
time.
to, yeah, exactly, and you got to appreciate it for that. So yeah, it's just having that that connaissance and like the
Yeah,
cognitive
for
ability
sure.
to recognize that, which is great. And you know, that's why this movie, I mean, it works in the fact like you
Yeah.
said, it is the uncanny valley, but he looks great. Like
Yeah.
he looks
I love
very
practical effects.
Sasquatchy.
I
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
I truly, I know this sounds like very hippie of me, but I really prefer solid practical effects
Yes.
over
Yes.
very mediocre CGI.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think that's hipster at all, like or hippie at all.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. I think it just gives a genuineness to the film. And yes,
Yeah.
like I know we've just been on an advocate's case for saying that technology is great and moving forward with film is great, and then immediately we switch to the other side. But with practical effects, and I mean, I think that's why James Cameron is such an incredible director in itself, is because he uses more practical effects than CGI. I think my favorite quote from someone talking about James Cameron was an editor talking about him and saying, I do less editing, less CGI for a James Cameron film than I do for a lot of rom-coms. And I thought that was fucking hilarious.
That's crazy, actually.
You know, so yeah, I think it just adds a bit of genuineness, you know, and you're not faking it, which is great. Yeah. So, I mean, your scene that could have saved it, unbelievably, is the exact same as my scene that could have saved it. So we can just blur right
us.
through that.
We're amazing.
Look at that. We're so intellectual. It's scary. Our brains are huge.
Enormous.
Would you watch this again?
Probably not. Like, I'm already not a huge family film person. It's not that I don't like them, it's just I actively won't like seek them out.
Yeah.
But it's cute. I think everybody should see it once. It's got a lot of heart to it. It's a really precious movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to watch it again.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's because it's cinema history. I think this is it's one of those things that really marks cinema history in the fact that, you know, you've got this great family movie and then they introduce this weird orangutan that looks, you know, great. But yeah, it's long. It feels long. Nothing really happens in the middle, and you can get over it pretty quickly. I'm very interested in the TV show. I want to see what they did for 3 seasons and 3 years and 72 episodes. Yeah. 3 years later, after this movie came out, there was a TV show, Harry and the Hendersons. But the family is slightly different.
Yeah, I
it's
was
not
going to say it must be a
John Lithgow.
different cast. John Lithgow would never.
No. I think the only TV show that he's long-standing run was 30 Rock of the 33rd Rock from the Sun.
And of course, he was in that season of Dexter.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Very, very scary, man. But do you remember this joke, just as a final thing? Do you remember the joke of Harry and the Hendersons from 30 Rock in the episode entitled "Goodbye, My Friend"?
Oh, where it's like, get out of here! No one wants you.
Yeah, with Jack to what's his face? Yeah, and he throws the rock when he wants to be a lawyer, when he's going to be a lawyer for the mob. Should we just start a new podcast just going over 30 Rock episodes?
You
just
know
so we
what?
can watch 30 Rock again.
Us and every white pair of friends in the world.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we could make it different and just be like, we could call it, "Is Tina Fey racist?" I mean, we'd solve the issue pretty quickly. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me in San Francisco, looking
You're so
at
welcome.
crazy animals and things, and joining me for the Oscars 1988. Now, let's go very, very far into the future to 2013, and tell me about Gatsby, please.
Welcome to East Egg.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Honestly, I shouldn't have to tell everybody the plot because this is a American classic, but here we go. The Great Gatsby, an adaptation of the S. Scott Fitzgerald book of the same name, follows Nick Carraway, here played by Tobey Maguire. Nick Carraway is a Midwesterner who belongs to like a wealthy-ish family, but he's definitely not the richest in the family. He decides to move to New York so he can work in stocks because his writing career failed. It's not familiar at all.
No.
He rents a small cottage on a much larger property, and he is just across the bay from his cousin, Daisy Buchanan, played by the perfect
Unbelievable.
Carey Mulligan. Carey Mulligan lives with her husband, Tom Buchanan. Fuck, where are my characters? Tom Buchanan, played by Joel Edgerton. The two of them seem to have a very happy marriage, or at least a comfortable marriage, with a small daughter. While he's talking to her, he finds that their marriage isn't super happy. It's very clear that Tom has cheated on Daisy a couple of times. He also meets Jordan, played by Elizabeth Debicki. She is a golf player, and she's just sort of hanging out with the Buchanans for the summer like rich people do. Tom takes Nick on a visit into town. On the way, though, he stops to pick up his mistress, Myrtle, played by Isla Fisher, and chats to her husband, sorry, like the cast list is all over the fucking place.
I can imagine it's a nightmare.
Her husband, George Wilson, played by Jason Clarke. It becomes very clear that poor George Wilson is super out of the know about what's happening with his wife. They carry off into town to some secret apartment that Tom owns for Myrtle. They have a huge party. Nick does not enjoy it, but he kind of does. I just think he's not capable of enjoying things.
No, that's very clear. He's just a Debbie Downer.
It's a huge Debbie Downer. He leaves. Later on, he gets an invitation from his landlord, the mysterious Jay Gatsby, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. It
Was that
invites
like
him to one
to
of
be
his
like the
parties
reveal?
over the weekend. It turns out that Nick is the only person who's ever gotten an invitation ever. He shows up and finds that all of New York's most beautiful, richest, interesting people are at these parties. The parties are lavish and enormous. And he walks around the party trying to find Jay Gatsby, only discovers him once he's very drunk and is immediately like, oh my God, this dude is incredible. He's like so impressive, so cool, so neat. He also runs into Jordan, but she is whisked away by Gatsby, who wants to talk to her. The next day, he goes out for lunch with Jay Gatsby, and it's a similar vibe. They go to a speakeasy. He meets a very mysterious gangster. What is his name?
Mayor Wolfsheim.
Mayor Wolfsheim, played by. Sorry, this
guy.
cast list is really a problem. Amitabh Bachchan. It becomes very clear that Gatsby's in with some shady folks, but he's like so classy and cool that Nick really struggles to believe it. He still just like didn't really love like being left at the club and having to do all this stuff. So when he chats to Jordan later, he's like, Jordan, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, no, Gatsby and Daisy fell in love 5 years ago, and then he had to go off to war, and before he could get back to her because he was very poor, she got married to Tom, but now he's super rich and he wants Daisy back, and that's why he holds all those parties at his mansion. It's to hope that Daisy wanders in, but that hasn't happened. So all he wants is for you to invite Daisy to tea so he can like run into her there and spark this whole thing. Nick's like mildly conflicted about it because he's like, I don't know how much I want to help this dude steal like my cousin from her husband, but also the husband's like such an asshole.
Yeah.
So Nick's like, sure, I'll do it. Shenanigans ensue. The two of them run into each other, instantly reconnect, fall in love. A Lana Del Rey montage follows of them falling in love. But the cracks start to show very quickly. Gatsby wants Daisy to leave her husband, say she never loved him, and move in with him. It's not that simple, though. There's a lot of back and forth, and it all culminates in the hottest day of the summer. It's one of the last days. There's a showdown in a hotel room. Gatsby loses socially. So it becomes really clear that
loses socially.
He does.
That's great. No, I just love the adjective. The adjective is perfect. He
like
loses
it's not a
socially.
fight, it's a social thing.
It's a social thing.
Yeah, it
That's
becomes
great.
very clear that Daisy's not going to go with Gatsby. But Tom, knowing that he's won, he's like, hey, you, Gatsby and Daisy, drive back together. We'll catch up. On the way back, Nick, Jordan, and Tom find that Myrtle has been hit by a car. It becomes very clear that it was Gatsby's car that hit her. Awkward. Tom is furious because he can't believe that Gatsby would do this to his mistress. So he points George Wilson gently in the direction of Gatsby. Nick is also really upset when he gets home. He's just sick of everyone. He can't believe the display he saw today. He runs into Gatsby. He's like, how could you do that? And it becomes super clear that actually Daisy was the one driving the car and she was the one who killed Myrtle, and Gatsby's taking the fall. But he's still actually super optimistic about things. He's like, no, don't worry. Like, Daisy's going to call me tomorrow and it'll all be figured out. Unfortunately, no. As Gatsby is about to use his own swimming pool for the first time, he gets shot by George Wilson. He dies. No one comes to his funeral. It's symbolic of the American dream. And it turns out that Nick is an institutionalized alcoholic and nervous depressive, and he was writing all of this the whole time. And then it's a message about the green light and hope and the American dream. The end.
The end. So what is your cliffhanger for this one?
That was a very long synopsis. I can only apologize. It's only a
they're
great
Oscar
American
movies.
novel.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm surprised you didn't go like chapter by chapter and just like chapter 1 and like prologue and
Going
everything.
through Spark Notes. And here's where we again have the theme of the
weather plays a huge part in this film.
Now, the Sloanes aren't in the movie, but I want to mention them anyway because in the book they're very
they're a huge part of it, and they're in no. So what is your cliffhanger?
My cliffhanger is this one, and it's the one where Gatsby is like trying to call off his meeting with Daisy. He's like, no, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. And Nick's like, you're being rude. She's also nervous. And I just love this because I think the thing that I like about this movie is that a lot of other pop culture iterations of Gatsby show him as like super
Mhm.
cool, super
Mhm.
suave,
Mhm.
super amazing, but he's a really awkward, insecure dude. Like that's his
Yeah.
central flaw, actually.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think this movie, and especially that scene, shows it so well. Like I laugh my head off during this scene every single time where
Yeah.
Gatsby's like so nervous to meet Daisy.
Oh, it's great. It's so cute.
He's so
It's
nervous
so
and
cute.
she's like mortified. And like that moment where Nick's like, no, Daisy's embarrassed too. It's like, it also shows so well like how
Mhm.
much of a pedestal Gatsby's put Daisy on.
Mhm.
And that moment where Nick's like, no, dude, she's a fucking human being. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gatsby's like, she's a
No.
human being.
That like it completely shatters it as well. And
Yeah.
he doesn't get it that she's feeling awkward too. And that scene is, I think it is one of the
Perfection.
best scenes of the
It's
film.
so
That bit where he
good.
knocks off the clock and they're all talking about the clock
He's
for like
trying
a
to
good
fix the
2
clock.
minutes. So brilliant. And you're so right. And I think Leonardo DiCaprio does a really good job at Gatsby because he can flip flop like that between like that cool suave bit. You know, there's that bit where he gets introduced as Jay Gatsby, and it's just like, I mean, it's become a meme. That image is the meme. And he's just
Flawless
so suave
casting.
then. Yeah, beautiful. And then you get those awkward moments like that. And when he loses his cool in the hotel right at the end, and you know, he's trying to like whisper in Daisy's ear, and it's like it's just so good because like her and Carey Mulligan, him and Carey Mulligan together, Jesus.
Oh my God.
What chemistry. Like, holy shit.
How dare they?
Should they get married? Should they just do it and just get married?
I mean, did you know that Leonardo DiCaprio has literally never dated anyone over 25?
Of course he hasn't. Why am I surprised?
Gross, dude.
That's gross. That's really gross. Come on,
Yeah.
you're better than
So
that,
unfortunately,
Leonardo.
I've aged out of DiCaprio's interest.
I think for you, he would make the exception.
Oh, he definitely wouldn't. But thank you so much.
Right. So, I mean, how do you feel about Bazlaman? Because I mean, I've got some feelings. So I want to hear your feelings first.
I love Bazlaman. I love him so much. I know that it's like silly, and I feel like the main movie people know of his is Moulin Rouge, but it's just like there's no cynicism in that movie. Like it just is. It's like, hey, here's a story. It's about love. And I just love, like, he's just like, fuck it. Yeah, let's have more colors. Let's do all these cool party scenes. Let's make it just like crazy excessive. It's so like such a feast for the eyes. And even if like you're like, oh, it's not very like you can't not enjoy when Baz Luhrmann's like in his groove doing his thing. I really like Baz Luhrmann, and I really love this movie. Like unapologetically love this movie.
No, I'm a big fan of this movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
like
How's
I'm
Baz
a
Luhrmann?
huge fan of this movie. Not a fan of Baz Luhrmann. I think he is
This
a
is
one
very
one
off
trick
brand
pony.
for you. Like this is really shocking for me.
I know,
'Cause
I
you'd
know.
think.
But you would think with like with how we feel about like directs and stuff. But yeah, he's just, I mean, for me, he's a bit too pump and circumstance. Like that's saying a lot. For me, he's just a bit too OTT. But like I feel like the first 3/4 of this movie are really good because he can just be like his Baz Luhrmann himself and just like colors, everything, high contrast, colors, like fast moving, lots of noise and everything. But then when it gets sad at the end and you got the sad boys, he just doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do with monochrome colors. And so he just kind of like, shit, I need to finish this movie and it's sad and I don't know how to do sad. There should be a party at the end. Why is there no party? And that's kind of what I don't like about like his other movies like Romeo plus Juliet and Moulin Rouge, like you said, because it's just like, oh, okay, calm down, guy. So yeah, I think he is the right director for this movie, but he should have co-directed someone who can do the big sads at the end.
Yeah.
So let him do all the crazy shit in the beginning where the book is really fun, and then let someone who's a bit more Depro take over. Zack Schneider, he loves working in monochrome. Let him take over the
Zack
sads.
Schneider near this movie.
The end scene where George Wilson shoots
just
Gatsby would be with
Christ
like
imagery.
an A5, just like proper like AK-47s. It would be like proper shooting, lots of guns, lots of explosions as Gatsby dies. That would be Zack Schneider's end to this film.
He's actually got a Tommy gun or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I completely agree with you. I think this movie is so beautifully colorful, and that's what makes it fun. Those party scenes are just chef's kiss.
Majestic. The outfits, the clothes, the
Mhm.
sets. Oh, ooh, I'm so excited.
So excited.
The sets. I think he did a good job with the actors. All the actors really knew exactly what they were, like the subtext of the scene and like the overtures of the scene. So like you can really, I think this is also really made for fans of the book, right? Like you can
Yeah.
see these themes coming through. You can see like the decay underneath everything from like the first scene where it's all supposed to feel really magical. It's just I really love this. I don't think this deserved less than 50% on
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes. I think people are a bunch of snobs. I
Yeah.
love this movie. I love watching it.
I remember when when this movie came out and we went to the Gatsby party, and there were so many people after the film that were so mad at the film. Are
But
you
it was
mad now?
great.
Yeah, and it was great, and like so many people were mad because it wasn't like the book, and I was like, but there were so many nods to the book. I mean,
Yeah.
that whole conversation during that first dinner when Nick goes over to the Buchanan's
Yes.
house, there's so many little chimes in there about the from the
Whole
book, and it's great.
monologues lifted from the book.
Exactly. So you know what? Like it wasn't perfect, but what book to movie adaptation is?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so you're always going to get those people, and I guess because it is such a great American novel, you know, it's got a higher stakes, but no one's going to do a great job of this film.
No, totally.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
like it was awesome.
I think they did a great job also of capturing, again, like I don't think in the book it was like super clear. I think they don't capture, or I think the movie captures really well, again, the fact that Gatsby always feels a little bit like he knows a little bit that he's not old money, and he's desperate for that to not matter.
Yeah,
but it does.
But
And
it
obviously,
does.
like at the end scene when Tom points it out, like what a great tense scene. When Tom points it out, he
yeah.
just like loses it, and that's also how he
Yeah.
loses Daisy, right? Like it
Yeah.
suddenly becomes very clear to Daisy that, oh, actually, he's not like me.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, you know, it was, I think translating that subtlety of the book of, you know, that feeling is really difficult to do. And so they did have to shoehorn it a bit with Tom being like, he'll never be old money. He'll never be one of us. But you have to, because it just doesn't translate well. I think my only problem with this movie, apart from the scene that could the sort of premise from my scene that could have saved it, was Daisy is such a difficult character, and don't get me wrong, tough. I think Carey Mulligan did the best job. I don't think there is another actress on the planet who could have done a better job than her. But Daisy is both vapid and super dramatic and concerned with everything. And Carey Mulligan nailed the concerned bit, and she put some genuine emotion into it. But like that sort of eeriness of not caring about a thing, being flippant, wasn't there. Like I didn't hate her by the end. I just felt sorry for her, which you're supposed to hate her at the end.
Oh, like, I didn't like her.
Did you not? Why?
I mean, like, I think Daisy in the book as well is like a character that's very much like up to your interpretation as a reader, right? Like either she's like super she's actually super deep, but she's just like scared to leave her privileged life, or she's super vapid and she really liked the attention for a bit, but like ultimately she was never gonna leave, you know? And there are translations of both. At the beginning where she's like, oh, I said I hope my daughter's pretty because that's all you can be in this world, a beautiful fool. Like I always read that as like super pretentious, but other people are like, wow, so true, you know? Like, so it's always,
I read it as pretentious as well. And
it's just like it's such a tough line. I think Carey Mulligan's maybe the only person who could walk it. But I think the movie didn't fall very hard on one or the other side, which was cool actually.
Yeah, because like the book, it sort of leaves it up to interpretation. But yeah, like I think it's tough. I mean, it's tough for an actress to, you know. I think if I got the call and they were like, all right, we want you to play Gatsby, I'd be like, no. I mean, I would love to, but no. Are you crazy?
That's tough.
Yeah, and so I do think the casting for this was flawless.
Yeah,
absolutely flawless. They nailed it. Every single person was great. And I mean, I would have never picked Tobey Maguire as a Nick Carraway, but fuck, he just
is really good at being an awkward dude in situations. What do you think? There's a theory that Nick Carraway is actually gay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like full on. Like I was actually gonna say it to you while you were doing your synopsis, because you went into that bit where he's like all about Gatsby, and I was like, oh yeah, and he's super gay for Gatsby.
He's super in love with Gatsby.
Yeah, without a
He's
question, he loves
definitely in
Gatsby.
that clinic for a lot of like internalized homophobia.
Yeah, that's what they couldn't put on the paper. But that's the reason. But yeah, like I mean, there's that scene at the end where he's just like, "You're better than the whole lot of them," and I mean, if that's not a declaration of love, I don't know what is.
I mean, the moment he meets Gatsby, he's like, you guys, this fucking guy. Like he meets Jordan, who he has a bit of a fling with, and he was like, she's
Yeah.
scary. But with Gatsby, he's like, no, you don't understand the way he looked at me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the way that every girl wants a boy to look at him. And yeah, like that's probably like in the end where Gatsby's like, oh, come swim with me. And that's why when Nick was like, no, because no, I couldn't
I've
swim with an
repressed
erection.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Also, can I
what is
just
this-
say that I love
Yes?
that like white man vibe of Nick being like, yeah, I read a couple books about stocks and then I moved to New York to make money in stocks.
Hey, if you were a white man in the if you were a white man in any point in history,
Yeah.
you could do whatever you wanted. And if Nick had just stayed in the East, if he had stayed in New York, oh, he would have been a billionaire until 1920 something, when everything went to shit and he died and killed himself.
Mm.
Like everyone did that, yeah. What is your scene that could have saved this, if there is one?
I don't
for you?
have one. I've got no notes. I
Okay.
love this movie unapologetically. I love everything about it.
10 out of 10. Perfect movie. For me, I just, like I said, you know, I'm not happy with the funeral scene because
Sure,
it's such
yeah.
an important scene, you know, and it's like shooing away with like one line. It's like, oh, no one came to his funeral. In the book, obviously, Owl Eyes, the guy from the
Yeah.
library, he comes to the funeral, and it's quite poignant because,
Yeah.
you know, like that's the whole point of it. And his dad comes. Ah, the scenes in the book where his dad comes.
Yeah, that actually would have been nice.
Yeah, and I just wish they had, like, you know, even if the movie, I mean, it's already 2 hours and 20 minutes long, make it 2.5 hours, make it 2 hours and 40. Who cares?
Yeah.
And just include all the stuff with his dad, because that's super cute. It's super necessary for Gatsby's character, because, you know, it just shows that he's not just, you know, he's always been ambitious before Daisy, but his ambition just turned, you know,
Yeah.
to the side towards Daisy. So that's all. Like, just include those scenes. Get Gatsby's dad in. Let's do it. Yeah. So obviously you would watch it again, right? Like today.
Yeah, I'd watch it right now. I really, truly
Yeah.
love that movie.
It is really good, and people poo-poo it, but no, I think you're wrong. Everyone should watch this movie
Mhm.
and, you know, upvote it on Fresh Tomatoes, because it's not right that we could do it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, party's over. Awards have been
Woo!
let out. Best female lead, best male
Mm.
lead has done. They've done all that. Everything's done.
Yay.
Everyone's closing down. What are we doing? Like, what's the end of the night? Like, how do you end the Oscars?
We
Are
go
you going
to
after
whatever
parties?
super cool after party is happening. Although it depends on what time the after party is. Like, I might just want to go home and sleep.
I was literally
Ooh,
about to say that.
We
I
stop
was
at a
about to be like,
drive-through, Chad.
I was about to say, Simone, you know we're going to Burger King or like White Castle, and then we're going home to put on a like shitty TV show and just
Some
sleep.
jammies.
Some jammies. Like, we ain't going to an after party. We'd love to. We'd be invited, but we ain't fucking going to that.
That's true.
No. Slippers, jammies, food. Done.
Honestly, I could go for some fries. Right. I could always go for some fries. What am I saying? Like,
I'm having burgers for dinner tonight. I'm so ready for it. I'm so ready for
jealous.
them in my Bella. So what are we going to do next week, Simone?
That's a great question, Chad. How do you feel?
Uh-huh.
I was thinking like we haven't done like super actiony stuff in a minute.
Okay. I'm happy to do that.
So do we feel maybe like doing some recent, I think Netflix has had some recent action movie additions, or else some more medieval type action stuff?
Ooh, I do feel a little bit of, I don't know. Yeah, let's do some medieval action, shall we?
Okay. Okay.
Medieval
Okay.
action movies. One just immediately popped into my head, and that's Conan the Barbarian with our boy Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I kind of really don't want to watch that.
I'm also okay with fantasy.
Cool.
This is the part where it becomes really fun for our YouTube watchers.
Oh, all right. I reckon in a year and a half we'll be able to do A Knight's Tale because it's sitting right now on 59%. So give it a year and a half.
Have we done Aragon before?
No, we haven't.
Are you
Did
sure?
we do badly? No, we've never done that before. I've
Yeah,
never
it did
seen it.
quite badly, Aragon.
Fantastic.
And there's also a Dungeons and Dragons movie from 2000.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay. Shall we do
What's
it?
it called?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Is it just called Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so Aragon. I just want to write these down.
Yeah, let's get our Lord of the Rings-esque fantasy on.
We're going to dress up for that as well.
I don't have my cosplay. Actually, on Saturday, I'm going to a fairy-themed party.
Oh, cute. That should be fun. And
So maybe I'll just keep that makeup on until we record on Sunday. That'll be so fun.
Oh,
That'll
that'll be
great for my
super
skin.
fun for you. Oh, yay. Do that. You crazy. All right, let me intro it again. So, Simone, what are we going to do next week?
Chad, we're going to go back even further to 1988. We're going to go into medieval fantasy.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Eating mutton. Dying of dysentery. Color is a thing.
Dragons?
Dragons. Yes, I'm
Sorcerers.
about it.
Handsome
Swords.
boys
Shouting.
as the lead.
Yeah, about it. So what movies are we going to do for Medieval Action Week?
A famously tough genre as well. So we're doing the critically acclaimed Aragon, one of the best book adaptations of all time, I would say.
Yes. Exciting time.
And we are also doing Dungeons and Dragons from the year 2000.
I am so excited to see what they do with this because that doesn't sound like it should be a thing.
It doesn't sound like
is,
it should have been a thing in the 2000s. Like, you know? Like,
definitely not. Yeah,
but then
that's
again,
a weird
Lord of the
vibe.
Rings came out around...
Yeah, but Lord of the Rings is based on Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons
No,
is
Dungeons
a
and Dragons is
game.
based on Lord of the Rings, my guy.
I made that a mistake. Sorry. Yes, I realized as I said, I was like, that's a dumb thing to say.
Don't upset the nerds.
We've lost like half our
they're like,
listenership. Yeah, done. Yeah, excited for this. This should be good. I'm excited. I'll bring my broadsword and then my not so broadsword. Exciting times. You've got your axe. We're ready.
my axe.
Let's do this. Here we go. So Simone, what is your gratitude for this week?
My gratitude. So there was a huge fire in Cape Town this week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was super scary. A lot of the University of Cape Town's special collections and African history library burned down, like super devastating. But yeah, I mean, it's just like as selfish as it sounds, it made me super grateful. Just like it really makes you think, like, if I had to leave all my stuff in a fire, like what would I take with me? And you know, I realized like you know, everything you have is just stuff. I think maybe I'd take like my laptop and then just my cats and Rudy, like nothing else. Those are all my memories right there. So like, yeah, I guess I'm just like grateful for everything that I have, grateful that I have like things that I care about, grateful that like I was unaffected by the fires and I was even like in a position where I could offer friends a place to stay when they needed to evacuate. But yeah, and then obviously grateful to like our firefighters who worked so hard or are still working hard as we're recording. Grateful to like just people who like stepped up and helped out. It was really cool to see. So yeah, just really grateful for a lot of things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what we'll do, I mean, it will be a little bit of time after the fire and hopefully it will properly settle down by the time you're hearing this. But if you want to donate, we will include some links in the show notes for this episode. You know, if they're still open, it would be great for you to do so because it has been devastating.
Cape Town's volunteer wildfire fighters are always a super worthy cause.
Yeah, so if you can donate, that'd be amazing. We'd really, really appreciate it because, yeah, I mean, it's Cape Town. It's the sunniest, it's one of the sunniest places. It's covered in, you know, fauna and flora that will catch fire immediately
More
with a whisper.
biodiversity than the Amazon.
There you go. There you go. So please, like, if you've got a spare couple pounds, couple dollars, couple rands, holler, please. And we really do appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I can't really follow with a gratitude after that. I mean, what am I going to say? Jesus.
Are you going to be like, I'm grateful for burgers? I wouldn't blame you. I am too.
I was just gonna say I'm really grateful to be able to dress up for a change. You know, it's
That's
really nice to be
nice.
able to actually just like put on something fancy, get all dolled up, and just look really nice and stuff. And yeah, like it was just like a nice change of pace, you know, instead of just like wearing sweats and looking hideous all the time. So I really do appreciate, and I'm really grateful just for like having that opportunity. And as things start to open up, I'll definitely be dressing up more, which I'm so excited about. Yeah.
Especially
Well,
with your
thank you
fancy new
guys.
job, Chad.
Oh yeah, I'm going suit shopping this weekend.
Oh, girl.
Super excited. So thank you guys so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. We hope you've had a good Oscar night with us. What are you guys voting for in the Oscar seasons? If you could vote, what Oscar movies do you enjoy? Because I mean, God, they're exhausting. Let us know, what do you think? Where can they do that, Simone?
They can talk to us on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com.
There you have it. I like the change in tone in .com. That took me by a little by surprise. You're just switching
You gotta
it
keep
up,
it.
looking
You gotta
crazy.
mix it up.
There's just you're screwing with my mind with your different
Oh,
voice
sorry.
actiness. You're so versatile. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Bye.